Good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. And welcome to CalGuard Gymnasium for quite possibly, after getting ready for the men's game, I think that we were all expecting this one to be the best. But if this is the best of the two games, we are in for quite an exciting matchup between the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs and the Trinity University Tigers. My name is Caleb Reed, joined in the booth once again by Luke Terry. And Luke, these two teams went to overtime the last time that they played. TLU coming off of a pretty shock loss last night. Trinity, of course, coming off of a win. What do you think we're going to be seeing out of these two teams getting ready for quite possibly one of the most important matchups for the conference, maybe all season?
I imagine this is a game that's going to come down the wire, much like the billing that you were talking about. It was a great men's game ahead of this one, but I think the intensity is going to remain very high here in CalGuard Gymnasium. You mentioned that game earlier this season between these two teams. The Texas Lutheran squad felt like they couldn't miss for much of that one, and then eventually Trinity started to find the basket. Down the stretch, they came on really strong. They needed a buzzer beater at the end of regulation from Natalie Anderson to tie it, and then in the overtime period, they kind of ran away with things. But of course, Natalie Anderson not playing in this one. She's missed close to 10 games now for this Trinity squad. We'll see how her absence affects it. But I think one way or another, this Trinity team's going to adjust to her absence, and they'll be in for a real dogfight with the Bulldogs of Texas Lutheran.
Anderson, the team leader in points and near the top of the NCAA, within the top 50 before her injury in terms of points per game. A massive loss for Trinity, of course, and one of the big reasons why they ended up going on that 1 and 5 streak over the winter. But Trinity so far, now that classes are back in schedule, now that players are back in their comfortable environments, they have done fantastically so far over the last couple of weeks. It's King, thought about the pass down to Napoli, does not do it. Instead, Timmons going to go up with it, cannot get it to go. Taken in there by Tanise Morig, one of the players to watch coming into this one. TLU with it right now, passing it around, a high pass over to the outside. And of course, this being a very important game for the conference, you can see it not only in the concentration on the players' faces, but also in the amount of fans that we have in this Trinity student section. Scramble for the ball, no whistles as of yet. It's still in the hands of the Bulldogs somehow, and finally gonna get the shot clock there. And so now Trinity going to take over again. The score is still 0-0, so a lot of action so far early, despite not a lot of scoring on the boards.
Yeah, and impressive defensive intensity on both ends of the court. Both of these teams coming out very strong. Right now, Mulkey just face guarding Josie Napoli, trying to deny her the ball anywhere that she goes on the court. Napoli working very hard to get open, but she still hasn't had a touch.
So Robbins with it now, gonna drive, gonna spin, and gonna put it up and cannot get it to go. Losing the ball, and it will remain with Trinity ball. The player who lost the ball, Caleb Presley Jr. out of Kyle, Texas. So just a little bit up the road there. Went to San Marcos for high school, so just a short little drive up I-35. Napoli with the ball down on the box and gonna get a whistle, and it's gonna be called a double dribble against Napoli.
Yeah, it looked like Napoli didn't catch that ball cleanly to begin with. I think that was her argument, a little dismayed with the call, but ultimately putting it behind her, trying to check Mulkey in response, both of them in view at the bottom of your screen.
And so at the moment, it is Mulkey with a deep pass, cross court, now down into the corner. Backing out of it is Presley. Presley looked like she was going to take the shot. Instead, it's a short little dump-off pass and a great block by Elaine King. TLU going to maintain possession here, but with 6 seconds to go on the shot clock, it is going to be a very difficult ask for the Bulldogs to get anything out of this possession. Robbins on the defense, passes out, ball is up, does not fall, scramble for the rebound, it is taken back in by TLU, so the Bulldogs avoid some disaster here, and both of these teams showing why they have been so good so far this season. Very stifling defenses from both teams. Both of these teams very capable of scoring a lot of points. Both of these teams very capable of keeping the other from scoring points as well. Napoli thought about the three, does not take it. Instead, gets it over to Kylie Minter. Robbins from three, gets it to go! What a way to start the game for Maggie Robbins, the senior out of Plano, Texas. Done fantastically. Trinity fans and coaches calling for a backcourt, not gonna get one there. Pass out to the wing, shot is up, and it is no good there for Kaylee Mulkey. That pass intended for Josie Napoli, just a little bit off course, and now gonna drive, gonna put it up from mid-range, cannot get it to go. Another offensive rebound. TLU has been dominating the offensive boards early, and Maggie Robbins breakaway pass to Josie Napoli. Napoli able to bring it in. Back out to Robbins. Robbins from another three. Oh, almost cannot get it to go. Outside Napoli. Once again from three. Cannot get it to go. That shot rolled around the rim there. Thought it was going to go in, but instead it spat out there for Maggie Robbins. And we're going to get a foul on Josie Napoli.
Yeah, Napoli pleading her case to the referee. It certainly looked like there was contact to warrant a foul right there, but what a start we've seen here in San Antonio. Nice shot from Robbins in this corner on the near side. That came almost 2.5 minutes into this first quarter. A very slow start that we're not typical to see from this Trinity team. You're right. Defensive intensity really picking up. Two defensive-minded teams here in San Antonio that are more than capable of shutting the other down. And this first few minutes of game time is indicated of anything. It's that's exactly what will be in store here.
This pass just a little bit too high, intended for Kaylee Mulkey, clanged into the bars in front of the student section. Got an absolute roar of approval there from the Trinity students. And now Trinity going to take back over again. Robbins going to be bringing it down. And Robbins, I mean, what can't you say about Maggie Robbins? She's been so good, not just this season, but over the course of the last few years. Of course, in her senior season, likely to be her final one. Of course, we don't know anything about fifth-year eligibility as of yet, but Robbins with it right now, driving, lofts it up and lofts it in for two. 5 points, all 5 of them coming off of the hands of Maggie Robbins. And you saw right there why she's so dangerous, quick and shifty, and able to cause a little bit of chaos there on the defensive side, as Denise Morig finally getting some points on the board for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, but talking about Robbins, she's maybe not known for scoring the basketball in huge chunks, but we've seen it a couple of times this year when this team struggles to put it through the rim. She's more than capable of stepping up, and right now she has all 5 of Trinity's points.
This pass batted out of bounds by number 21, I believe, Sahari Jones. As Jones will be going off. In addition to a player going off, we are seeing Bailey Timmons go off. Jamie Reedy coming on in exchange. And another substitution. On comes Callie Perez. And off comes Lauren Sansano. Sansano, one of the players that we highlighted during our weekly briefing, getting ready for this game, as this shot by Napoli goes nowhere, but Sansano has been absolutely fantastic so far this season. Ranked second in terms of free throw percentage, not just in the conference, but in NCAA Division III. Set a single season record last season. As Napoli is going to get this one, an errant pass by the Bulldogs. Napoli outside, pass it over to Maggie Robbins. Robbins going to drive and spin move, puts it up and cannot get it to fall. Looked like it would bounce back in there, but instead it ends up in the hands of, I believe that is Perez. Yes, that is Callie Perez, being defended well by Kylie Minter. Now down to Morrig. Morrig over back to Perez. Perez going to put it up, cannot get it to go, and rebound by Maggie Robbins once again.
It looked like Robbins might have gotten a piece of that one as that shot was going up. So again, doing absolutely everything on the court for Trinity right now is Jamie Reedy really forcing the issue. Put that one up off the glass and had it rebound off that front iron and off. Really aggressive take from the true freshman who this weekend is being featured off the bench for the Tigers. We talked about it a lot last night in their game, their victory over Southwestern. Just different rotations, and interesting to see the shooter again coming off the bench tonight, watching the last 4 or so minutes of this first quarter, how she gets utilized in what has so far been a very defensively minded game.
Jamie Reedy so far this season, you can't say enough about what she can do. Whenever I talked with Coach Cameron Hill, not in preparation for this game, but just on the talent that we're seeing from this freshman class, not just for the women's side, but also for the men, but whenever I was talking with Coach Hill, he said, you know, a lot of people look at a 38-foot jump shot and think, wow, that's a horrible shot to take. Why would you take that? But whenever you have a talent like Jamie Reedy, there is no such thing as a bad shot. She can hit it from essentially anywhere, and coming off the bench last night didn't have the biggest of impacts, of course. That will tend to happen whenever you are a bench player and not a starter, but it does give a lot more rotational freedom for these Tigers, being able to have a starter caliber player on the bench, and then whenever you need to pull your starters for rest, you still have a starter caliber player on the court who is completely rested, completely ready to play.
Yeah, and I think she's shown that. A lot more drives to the basket in the last 2 days. You just have that creative freedom, can create for yourself, can create your own shots. That's what she's done. But I think there's also a luxury right now in a game where Texas Lutheran is trying to keep everything in front of them. She's the type of player that's going to welcome that and just shoot it over the top.
Morrig with it right now. Gets it out to Lacey. Morrig back down with it. Now cross court over to Perez. Shot clock down to 5 before the shot, and it is no good. An air ball off of the left side of the rim. And so Robin's going to be throwing this one in. A very, very low-scoring game here so far, and one that I don't think that we were kind of expecting too much. These two teams played in an 86-76 final. Trinity taking the victory as this is a deep three. Kylie Minter. She's been fantastic so far this year. The sophomore transfer out of League City, Texas, coming in hard. And what a fantastic deep shot by Minter.
Yeah, a real high arcing one right there. Defender gave her just a little bit too much space, didn't have the hand up. Minter, much like Reedy, very willing to just shoot it over the top of the defense.
This one no good, almost a pass to Josie Napoli, and Napoli now going to be taking it down. Robbins behind her, getting ready in case she needs a bailout pass, and now going to get it over to Robbins. Robbins back over to Minter. And Minter has been one of kind of the unsung heroes of this team. Of course, we talked a lot about Jamie Reedy with the ball right now, Josie Napoli, Maggie Robbins, but Kylie Minter slowly making a name for herself as a really great option. Shot clock down to 2, cannot get it to go. She gets her own rebound, puts the shot up and puts it in. The mid-range jumper. Coach Patterson furious on the sideline. He wants an explanation as to why it wasn't a turnover. But the shot clock got reset. Minter took advantage of it, put it up and put it in to give Trinity now an 8-point lead.
Yeah, offense starting to settle in a little bit more, finding ways to deal with this stout pressure from Texas Lutheran. But if anything, I think the intensity out of the gate on that end has sparked some real defensive effort for the Tigers on this end.
TOU so far scoring about 70 points a game as the shot clock goes off, ends up in the hands of Trinity regardless there. TOU had to get a panic shot off, but TOU scoring about 70 points per game so far this season. The shot goes up, no good. Trinity really a lot higher scoring season than that. A lot of final scores well into the 80s, well above the 70s. And so far we're seeing a very slow start for both of these squads as a lot of groans coming from the Trinity student section in regards to that shooting foul. And we are going to see, going to the line now, Kaylee Mulkey, I believe. Yes, it is Kaylee Mulkey, the junior out of New Braunfels, Texas. So another player playing very close to home. Of course, that's one advantage of being in a local area conference like that. You don't really get a lot of players from across the country, but it always is good to be playing in a semi-familiar environment.
See right there, the replay, foul being tagged to Elaine King. You mentioned a lot of groans coming from the Trinity faithful here in CalGuard, but you've seen that replay. Didn't look like there was a ton of contact on the ball, but pretty heavy contact between bodies. And Mulkey earning this trip to the charity stripe, much needed for the Bulldogs. Just their third point of the first quarter. Second one a little bit too strong, and looks like that one's gonna be out on Trinity. It is. So Texas Lutheran breaking that scoring drought more momentarily and giving themselves another opportunity here.
Just saw a mass substitution wave for Trinity. Napoli, Minter, and King came off. And meanwhile, on for the Tigers, Sky O'Rourke, Ivory Scott, and Natalie Greenwood. Greenwood taking up a lot of attention recently. Well, I say taking up a lot of attention as if that's a bad thing, but Greenwood getting a lot of attention over the last couple of weeks. Of course, being a mid-season transfer, had a little bit of difficulties, but over the last couple of games has really developed into a great player for Coach Cameron Hill and this Trinity offense. As this shot from three is up, does not fall, but Coach Hill was absolutely nothing but complimentary of Greenwood, her work ethic, the way that she has just been able to play. And whenever I ran into her earlier this week, whenever I asked why Trinity, as that was a fantastic play there by Jamie Reedy, but I asked, why Trinity? She just said, as soon as I got here, as soon as I visited, everything just clicked. And she's definitely starting to feel at home now over the last couple of games. Has really improved her performance on the court. And Coach Hill hoping that will only continue as the games go on. Fantastic little down low play there. Lauren Sansano, the one who's able to get that one. Shot clock is now off. Under 20 seconds to go. Sky O'Rourke puts it up and puts it in for two. Sky O'Rourke going on a tear, and these Trinity Tigers are on a roll. 14-5, your score here. Shot is up from the wing, cannot get it to go. Robbins on the rebound, out to O'Rourke, and that will be the end of this first quarter. So Trinity leads 14-5 over the Texas Lutheran University Bulldogs. And Luke, that was an incredibly fast-paced first quarter. What have we seen out of both these squads so far, and what are you looking for in the second?
Going to continue to harp on it right now, and I'm sure we'll continue to harp on it the rest of the game. It was the defensive intensity that both of these squads came out with that really defined that first period. And it was just the way that each team was able to work through it. Trinity coming away with 14 points, very impressive after both these squads started very, very slowly. No one had points on the board in the first 2:30 of this game. But Texas Lutheran still just trying to find a way to get some shots to fall. Just 2 of 16 from the field in that opening period. 0 for 6 from beyond the arc. I think if maybe they can knock down some shots from deep, it'll open some things up elsewhere. But that's going to have to come first. And in the meantime, Trinity, a 9-point lead, has to feel pretty good after a very slow start that they're not accustomed to.
A very slow start indeed for Trinity. Definitely not what they are used to at all, but for Texas Lutheran as well, a slow start that kind of highlights a little bit of struggles that they've had over the last couple of days. Of course, they lost in pretty stunning fashion, I think that it's easy to say, last night. Of course, that game being on the road again for Texas Lutheran. And that one going against Schreiner, a 65-61 final up in Kerrville, and it was definitely a surprise for everyone. Schreiner, definitely not a bad team by any means, but they aren't a Trinity, they aren't a Colorado, they aren't a TLU, and I was actually down doing sideline commentary last night whenever that news broke. Got to be the one to tell Coach Hill, hey, TLU just lost, which is huge for the conference, and he ended up telling the bench, and it was just shock up and down all of the chairs there on that Trinity bench. And I think that it's a lot of shock that's being felt throughout the conference as well.
And something that both coaches, Jimmy Smith on the men's side as well, has talked to us about. When it comes to winning the conference, getting into that tournament, your seeding, sometimes it's more correlated with how you perform against the teams in the middle of the pack. Obviously, there's a lot of competitive games, but making sure that you can hang on against those teams 5th, 6th, 7th in the standings is almost more important than how you perform against those teams 1, 2, and 3.
And so TLU with the ball right now, passing it around. Shot clock under 10, down to 6 before the shot is up. No good. Rebound, Maggie Robbins. And, you know, despite being maybe a little bit undersized, Robbins, of course, at 5'3", she's just so quick, so physical, and able to get a lot of rebounds. As Minter's 3, no good. But Elaine King fighting for that rebound ends up back in the hands of Josie Napoli, and a bit too hard of a pass intended for Bailey Timmons.
One thing that the defensive intensity from Texas Lutheran has done early on, they've made Josie Napoli's life very, very difficult. She hasn't scored yet. That turnover was coming from a spot that we've seen her more than willing to shoot the basketball from. Maybe getting into her head a little bit, making her think, see how she settles in as this one continues, as this Trinity team almost certainly going to need her.
This one taken away by Timmons. That pass through the hands of Sahari Jones. Napoli with it right now, moving around outside, managing to fake out her defender. Minter thought about a 3, does not take it, and gonna get a lane violation call against Elaine King. Don't see that one too much, as TLU will take over. Again, still trailing by 9, but if the men's game earlier today is anything to go off of, scores can change in an awful hurry.
And just like that first quarter, over 2 minutes played here in the second, no one has added to their scores. Right there, some good defense, pretty far outside the three-point line from this Trinity team. A deflection, trying to get a run out going, but instead Texas Lutheran forced to commit a foul, and the Tigers will get the basketball back.
So Robbins over to Minter. Napoli with it right now in the wing, back up to Minter up top. King with the screen. Now back down to King. Good little pick and roll action. Puts the ball up off the glass, no good. Rebound there by Brianna Wilson, sophomore of Austin, Texas, using that 5'11" height to her advantage. Don't see too many players with a inches height in the double digits at this level, as that is a fantastic three-point shot by Lauren Zanzano. You cannot leave her too open. She is one of the best scorers, not just on this team, but in the entirety of NCAA, as Napoli cannot get that one to go. Kept in bounds by Minter. Shot up by King, no good. It's blocked. Scrambling for the ball, and they're going to call it a jump ball, and it will go in favor of the Tigers.
Yeah, very nice hustle sequence from Trinity right there. Minter saving that ball originally, and then Timmons, a nice wraparound pass to find King, but great recovery from the Bulldogs. Lacey rotating over to block that shot in the paint. Trinity retaining possession here.
Shot is up, no good by Timmons. Timmons going for her own rebound there after a little bit of hand fighting, and it's going to be TLU ball on yet another jump ball. But that means that once again the possession arrow goes back over to Trinity. So Trinity not spending too long without that arrow. Getting it across the court now. Wide open from mid-range, cannot get it to go, but gets the rebound. And now Kaylee Mulkey gonna be going to the line. And Mulkey was one of the players that was highlighted during the lead up into this game. Only player in the conference who is top 10 in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. She is everywhere on the court, and a big reason why this Texas Lutheran team comes into this game with the record that they have.
And showing the effort right there, creating second chance opportunity Fortunately for her, that first free throw, no good, but Texas Lutheran, despite 2 misses, still outpacing Trinity in this second quarter, scoreless, approaching near 4 minutes of game time expired.
And so now, shot is up from deep, cannot get it to go. Rebound by Minter, and Minter's gonna draw the foul.
Yeah, and a little bit of an argument right now between Bulldog and referee. It was Sansano who gets called with that foul. Because of that, she's going to come out of the game right now. She has 2 personals already in this one. There's a little bit of traffic right there. I think she was claiming that Elaine King might have knocked her into the other Tiger during that rebound sequence.
Napoli loses the ball, and it will remain Tiger ball. Minter going to be the one throwing it in here. Minter, of course, the not mid-season, but the off-season transfer. As Reedy pass over to King, over to Robbins. This is a very high-scoring offensive unit that Trinity has, as Robbins gets the rebound. Reedy from 3, cannot get it to go. But she ended up stepping out of bounds anyway, so the shot wouldn't have fallen. Or it wouldn't have counted if it had gone in. And TOU going to take over right in front of their own visitor section, which, despite the sort of trends that we've been seeing here over the last season or so, is still very full. Of course, men's games getting a lot of the in-person viewership due to, of course, the great season that they're having. But the women's team as well have been doing some fantastic work and deservingly getting some in-person attention here this evening.
Yeah, and I think it was the case for the 2 games played at Texas Lutheran earlier this year. I watched much of that women's game on their live stream, and even online, you could tell that that was a packed gymnasium, was very intense of an environment. I think that crowd made their presence felt in Seguin. They're doing their best to emulate it here in San Antonio.
I don't want to say that it was eerily similar, but as Robbins' elbow shot no good, but it wasn't exactly eerily similar, but it was incredibly like the Trinity at Hardin-Simmons playoff game back in, I believe it was 2022, over in Abilene. Dark gym, obviously besides the court, but dark gym, wooden bleachers, and the entire crowd was into it. After I remember specifically after that game, interviewing Coach Hill for, I believe, a newspaper article, and he said it felt like Hardin-Simmons brought the entirety of Abilene out to that gym. It was such an incredible atmosphere, and watching the videos, watching the replays of that game, I definitely got the same sense of a very loud, very hostile environment, and Trinity came out on top in an overtime victory where they found themselves trailing early, leading early right now as Greenwood is going to get that rebound, but found themselves trailing early, down by 20 earlier on in that game, and now they find themselves leading by 6.
Yeah, just a totally different game that we're seeing here so far. Talked about it in the open. That was one where it felt like Texas Lutheran made every single shot that they looked at for the better part of that game. Right now, both of these teams struggling to find any success offensively. You can see the percentages on your screen. Each team shooting below 25% from the field, each of them below 30% from 3. And neither team really getting to the free throw line with any consistency on top of that.
A very, very defensive-oriented game for both of these squads, and it's really shown up not just, of course, in the poor shooting numbers. That can just be down to a poor offensive day, but if you look at the turnovers, a very, very high number, considering how early in the game we still are. We are only about halfway through this second quarter, and at this pace, it's going to be a very, very high turnover game for both of these squads who aren't really used to giving the ball up a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's because they're so used to taking it away themselves. Trinity played a game here last week against the St. Thomas team that hasn't been great in conference play this year. And I want to say St. Thomas turned the ball over 40 times in that one. Something that we've grown accustomed to from this Trinity team, watching them take the ball away, a lot of pressure in full court situations. But recently, the way that Texas Lutheran has come on in the conference, they have a very similar story. So it's two teams that play in some similar ways on the defensive end and get used to certain things and relying on turnovers.
Shot no good, taken away by King on the inbounds pass. Outside Minter, wide open, three from the corner. She gets it to go. Kylie Minter starting to get excited here and getting this crowd alive with the deep corner three. You cannot leave her open like that, as the Bulldogs are slowly starting to learn here. Minter, so far 2 of 3 from outside, 3 of 5 on the day, already with 8 points, is able to roll that one in, as Kaylee Mulkey, again, already mentioned. Mulkey, arguably the best player on this team in terms of her points, her defensive abilities as well. She is all over the court, and if the Bulldogs want an opportunity to win, they need to get her more involved in this game plan.
And it was just a timely bucket right there. Huge shot from Minter after she had already hit one. As King crashes really hard, sees that ball bouncing in the paint. She just goes right after it, creates a second chance opportunity and earns a couple of free throws. But you're right, Mulkey, who's great in all of the statistical categories, certainly has great feel for the game as well. Responding to a big three-pointer made, going straight to the rim. Didn't seem like she had the angle, but somehow found the way to muscle it up and in.
Emerald St. Laurent, the one who ended up getting that foul called on her. The big 6'2" sophomore out of the Woodlands, Texas. Mentioning, of course, don't see too many players with double digits in the inches category in the height. Don't see too many players at this level with a height that starts with a 6 at this level as well, as that's a fantastically physical play. Laying it up and in is, once again, Kaylee Mulkey, junior out of New Braunfels, Texas. And I get the feeling that we are going to be calling her name a lot so far tonight.
Yeah, she's taking over offensively for Texas Lutheran right now, and she's drawing the best defensive matchups on this end of the court. Now with Napoli out of the game, she's checking Maggie Robbins in the corner.
And they're going to call that an offensive foul. The shot does not count. And Jamie Reedy going to be the one picking that one up. It'll be the first personal foul of the day against Reedy. So far, 5 personal fouls during this first half for Trinity, 4 against the Bulldogs. So far the officials have been pretty content to keep the whistles in their pockets, at least at the start of this game. And if the trends that we've seen over the last a couple of weeks or anything to go off of, they might start coming out a bit more during the second half.
Great possession right there from Texas Lutheran, getting the ball to Jones down low. Just a nice slip. She had maybe no size advantage down low against Greenwood, and despite that was able to put it up and in.
Speaking of Greenwood, shot up from the elbow, no good. Greenwood kind of struggling for shooting so far. That'll make her 0 for 3 on the day as of now. Still only 5 minutes played. Players on the court right now, Napoli, Reedy, Minter, King, and Greenwood. So a lot of very tall presence down low for the Tigers. Shot is up by St. Laurent. It is up and good by Kaylee Mulkey. The shot by St. Laurent, no good, but Mulkey once again taking advantage, getting it up, and able to score some points. As this one goes out of bounds, they're going to say that it was off the hands of St. Laurent. And so Trinity going to take back over possession, but TLU a 6-0 run, and Trinity hasn't made a field goal in the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So the Tigers really need to get the offense going here, as Robbins checks in exchange for Kylie Minter. But a very slow start for the Tigers here, and TLU starting to heat up a bit.
And Trinity was running with a two-big lineup for a couple of minutes there. They had King and Greenwood both on the floor. Not something that we see very frequently, and Coach Hill going to go back to a little bit more of the norm with his lineup now. Just King out there playing in the paint.
Napoli being defended very well. Loses the ball, able to be taken back in by Robbins. Reedy from three gets it to go. Wide open three ball by Jamie Reedy. You cannot leave her open like that. She's hit shots like that with a player in her face, and there wasn't anybody within 5 feet of her.
And it was a great find from Robbins on that one for exactly that reason. Things just in disarray as bodies were hitting the ground. She looked up, crossed the court, and she saw Reedy. A surprising call right there. This ball is going to go back to Texas Lutheran. Trinity was trying to get out and run in transition. Looks like there was a tip originally by one of the Bulldogs, but the referee is saying that it's going back off of a Tiger and possession back to Texas Lutheran.
So with the ball right now is Kayla Presley. Pass outside. Shot is up from three. Gets it to go from the corner. Kaylee Mulkey with a huge three ball there to bring this game back to a 2-point score. Timmons shot up from three from atop. Gets it to go as well. Raining threes here in CalGuard. Robbins almost with the steal. Mulkey with it going down now. Passes it back over to Presley. Reedy, heavy defense. Reedy draws the elbow, and they're going to say that it's a foul against Jamie Reedy. Very interesting call there.
A lot of energy after that Timmons made three. Maybe a little bit too much intensity on this end of the court as Reedy picks up that foul, but she's staying feisty out there, swiping at the ball.
10 seconds to go now. Shot is blocked. Scramble for the ball. It's going to be a jump ball, and it will remain with TLU. So 8 seconds to go here before we hit the halftime buzzer. Trinity leading 24-19 over the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs. And we will see what Coach Patterson and this TLU team have in store. Robbins in the defense. Pass outside. Pass up top. Game clock now down under 5, 2, 1. Puts the shot up, and it's not going to even come close to the board. That will be the end of the first half. Trinity leading 24-19 in a very defensive game that I don't think that we were really expecting coming into this one.
Yeah, but things turned around a little bit in that second quarter. At least it felt like it. Things were maybe just a little bit more even after a 14-5 advantage after one. Texas Lutheran winning that quarter 14-10 to make this a little bit of a closer game. We'll see what they can do in the second half. Certainly a lot of offensive adjustments needed from both of these coaches and teams.
And so as we get ready for the halftime break, we will take a little bit of a break of our own. You see the stats. You're going to get to watch the performance by the Tiger cheerleaders and the Prowlers on your screen while we go. But we will be back in about, I'd say about 12, 13 minutes or so. Give you a little bit of a recap of the first half as we go into ball in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to the Trinity Tiger Network. My name is Caleb Reed, joined in the commentary booth by Luke Terry. And Luke, it was a very, very low-scoring first half that we saw out of both of these squads. Neither team really used to this kind of slower pace of play. What do you think we're going to be seeing out of both of these squads as we go into the second half?
Well, I think if you're Texas Lutheran, you ride the hot hand, and Mulkey was exactly that for you in the first half. She had 10 of their 19 points through those first two periods. And on the other side, for Trinity, you're probably looking to get someone going, and that someone is Josie Napoli. 0 points on the evening, 0 for 3 from the field. She's taken 2 of those attempts from beyond the arc. See what they can draw up for her early on.
Both of these teams not really used to scoring this much. TLU used to scoring a lot less than the Tigers are. Trinity averaging about 81.9 points per game so far coming into this weekend. Of course, had a 75-55 victory over Southwestern last night, so those averages are going to be a little bit different. Of course, being a bit lower than the 82-point total that they need to maintain their average. But for TLU, averaging just under 70 points per game, 69.9 points per game for them. So this TLU team coming into this game, 13-4 record, used to playing a much more defensive game. And so far, Trinity has played the game to TLU's strength, and it's going to be something that the Tigers are going to need to get away from.
Yeah, and you talk about Trinity being used to scoring a ton of points, and it's been the case kind of year over year. This is a team that defensively, specifically this year, the mindset has had to shift a little bit. Typically pressed a ton, created live ball turnovers through deflections, etc. Talked on the broadcast about Maggie Shipley and her departure, the way that she was utilized. That's sorely missed, but this is a team that still puts a lot of emphasis on this end of the court, and you're seeing that they can be successful in this type of game nonetheless.
Shot is up, no good, but rebounded by TLU. Shot up again from the outside, once again, no good, and finally going down. They're going to call a foul, I believe, against, that's going to go against Josie Napoli. So an interesting call there.
And it looked like Napoli was just trying to stay attached to Mulkey as best she could. Mulkey was hustling after that one, and it turned into a little bit more of a hold, as you can see right there. Mulkey wasn't squarely on Napoli's backside, had evaded that box out as best she could, and then when she went up, because of the contact, she hit the ground pretty hard.
Trinity with the ball now. Timmons over to Robbins. Robbins going to put it up, and Robbins is going to put it in for 2. Maggie Robbins hasn't been much of a scorer so far over the course of her career, but this season, in the few games that she has gone off for big, and so far on pace for a great night so far. 7 points, just 1 below Kylie Minter, who is the best on the team. That ball going out of bounds as number 21 for TLU, Jones, the one who went down. And this has been a game that both teams have really gone kind of off of what they're used to. Both of these teams are used to shooting a bit over 39% from the field, which, you know, isn't the best by any means, but TLU used to shooting 39%. Trinity used to shooting a bit under 42%. Right now, TLU is shooting 24% and shooting 24%, and Trinity is shooting 30%. So a very, very poor day in terms of shooting, and a big reason why this game hasn't exactly gone to plan for either squad, as this one is stripped away, taken in by Mulkey. Mulkey gets around, puts it up, does not get it to go, but she will go to the line for 2. That one going to be against, looks like Maggie Robbins, as you can see a little bit of conversation after the play. Doesn't look like anything too mean-spirited of both Maggie and the official coming away with a bit of a smile there. As you can see that replay, pretty easy to call, at least in real time. I didn't see too much contact there, but obviously enough to warrant the foul.
Yeah, it looked like Robin swiped down. There wasn't any contact on the basketball or on the arms. Couldn't tell exactly from that angle whether or not she might have gotten the face or some part of the body with that follow through, but I think she laughed, maybe just got over it pretty quickly.
Both free throws good for Mulkey. Give her 12 points on the day so far, leading the team very well. Shot is up from outside, does not fall. Rebound by Kaylee Perez. Perez goes down, has to get it out, and it goes once again into the hands of Mulkey. You mentioned getting her more involved as this game goes along. Ball is up, shot is no good, and that's going to be another whistle. And once again, it's going to be going against Maggie Robbins, we believe. And yes, it is against Maggie Robbins. That's going to be her second on the day.
Yeah, that one a little bit clearer, even in real time. Swiped down, made a lot of contact as Presley was going up with that basketball. Had that one around her waist. Probably a hit on the arm sends her to the free throw line for a couple. Something we talked about in the first half. Neither of these teams frequented the charity stripe. Yeah, certainly got that arm, got that hand, left hand that was on the basketball. Those two shots, now Texas Lutheran has attempted 8 on the evening. For Trinity, just 2 attempts at the free throw line. Definitely something that you would look to take advantage of in a low-scoring affair such as this one, especially when the shots have been as highly contested as they are right there. Reedy going to the basket, but she gets denied.
Reedy found herself blocked there. Believe that was by Merrick. As Robbins gets this one into Reedy. Reedy puts it up, and Reedy puts it in for 2. 28-23 your score. Trinity leading by 5 over the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs. And after a first quarter that wasn't exactly close, TLU has really pulled it in and kind of created a closer matchup than what we were expecting after the first 5-10 minutes of this game.
Yeah, they've found a way to really get going offensively, but now we've seen a couple of takeaways by Timmons, who's playing the passing lanes just perfectly at this point in time, and Reedy, who pulls from way downtown, knocking it home.
Jamie Reedy, she can hit from anywhere. Coach Cameron Hill said, you know, a 40-foot jump shot seems like a bad shot whenever it's anybody but Jamie Reedy. And she proves it right there, a laser from downtown. That one was probably closer to the mid-court logo than it was to the three-point line. As we have a timeout being called. Looks like it's for the media timeout. And what an incredible start to this one.
And despite the struggles from each of these teams, the one number that's worth circling at this point is Trinity's three-point percentage, nearly 43%. They've taken 14, they've knocked down 6 of them. It's a pretty big chunk of their 31 points so far today, counting for 18 of them beyond the arc. It's going to be important for Texas Lutheran to find a way to slow Trinity down, especially in a low-scoring game like this. The three-point ball comes that much more important. Getting 1 extra point per possession makes a huge difference.
This team absolutely loves shooting it from deep. The shoot-or-shoot mentality is so real within this squad, and we're seeing it slowly start to creep in just a little bit more here. Again, 6 of 14 from deep so far during this game. Just 1 3 off from being a perfect 50-50, and so far they are doing everything right. Leading 31-23, 6:22 to go in the third quarter. TLU with the ball right now. It's Kaylee Perez with it. Hornaday passes it deep down low, able to get it up and in. Kaylee Mulkey, it's starting to feel like a broken record here. 14 points on the day, leads all scorers at the moment. And she has been a dominant force down low for these Bulldogs. Minter thought about a 3, does not take it. Instead, Timmons now gonna drive. Back outside, Minter. Minter thought about a corner shot, doesn't take it. Puts it up and puts it in. Had a foot in the paint and managed to get it up and in. And Trinity extends their lead now 33-25.
And Minter showing that she has a lot to her game. She's knocked a couple down off the catch from beyond the arc, but right there going off the dribble, just pulling up from mid-range, seen her get into the paint a couple times this season, and she's very dangerous from that spot too.
Merrick, cross-court pass, tipped away by Timmons, able to stay in the hands of TLU, almost went out of bounds. Shot is up from the top, does not fall, rebound, and put up and in. Fantastic play by Devania Jones, sophomore out of San Antonio, Texas, and yet another homecoming game. A lot of San Antonio natives, both here at Trinity and also here for TLU. Minter with it right now, top of the wing. Thinks about the shot, takes the shot from deep and gets it to go. Kylie Minter becoming one of the better three-point shooters on this team. She has been absolutely incredible so far today. 3 of 4 from deep and 13 points, leading the Trinity Tigers.
Yeah, and a couple times in a row, we saw her navigating the pick and roll on that side as she takes the ball away now, orchestrating the run out, getting it to Timmons, who goes up and gets fouled.
Going to the line for 2, Kylie Minter. You know, you hear a ton about Jamie Reedy, Josie Napoli, Maggie Robbins, Natalie Anderson. Kylie Minter is really growing into one of the better players on this team and is really growing into definitely a future starter. As soon as Maggie Robbins graduates at the end of this year, we assume, of course, Maggie's class is the final class that will have fifth-year eligibility. So she may take it, she may not. We don't really know. We haven't exactly talked to her about that. But as soon as Maggie Robbins is gone, I've got a very sneaking suspicion that Kylie Minter is going to get into that role. And if what we've seen so far this season is any indication, she's definitely not going to be a bad replacement for Maggie at all.
Absolutely, and I think one of the big things, and something that you always love to see, are players that are learning and adjusting real time. A couple of consecutive possessions where she received the screen on that wing that you're looking at, near side, right where the players are breaking their huddle. Her and Elaine King just operating the two-man game. The first time you talked about it, Minter came off of it, thought about pulling up, ultimately deciding to go to the basket. But then that last possession, recognizing that Texas Lutheran Bulldogs going underneath those screens gave her plenty of room to shoot it. She was very comfortable pulling up from the outside, and she splashed it home. A great third quarter so far from this Trinity side. 12 points with still 4:22 remaining, as Timmons stepping to the free throw line, trying to expand this lead just a little bit more. She does with that first free throw. Still pending a second. Trinity now leads by 10.
So far this season, Kylie Minter has had over 10 minutes per game in every game so far this season, which is just an incredible stat line anyways. But after starting out kind of a little bit cold, she has definitely spiked up those numbers. Only had 4 points during her Trinity debut, but since then has ballooned that to 8.3 points per game so far this season. So more than doubled the start that she had, as this shot from 3 is good. Fantastic outside play there by Kaylee Perez. Robbins with the ball right now. Pass it over to Reedy. Reedy to Timmons. Back over to Minter. Again, screened by King. Minter thought about the 3. Does not get it. Reedy gets shoved to the ground there going for the ball. It will remain Trinity ball, though. A lot of contact there with Kaylee Lacey, senior out of Pflugerville. As now Robbins going to get the inbound pass from Minter. Robbins moving over, screened by King. Robbins crossover, puts it up, and will be going to the line for 2 here after the contact on the shot. That foul is going to be going, let's see who it's on. Foul is going to be going on number 25, Kaylee Mulkey. That is only going to be her second personal foul of the game, though, so definitely not in any sort of foul risk yet. In terms of players who are in foul risk, Lauren Sansano, who we mentioned during the first half, is one of the better players on this team. She has 3 fouls for the Bulldogs. Meanwhile, Josie Napoli also with 3 fouls. She was a starter coming into this game and has been on the bench for a good little bit now. Has been on the bench for a bit over 5 minutes here as TLU taking right back over. Perez with it right now, pass down into the corner, moving around, cross-court pass up to the top of the wing, gets it to go from 3. Fantastic shot outside by Kaylee Lacey, I believe, is the one who they're gonna credit that one to. A fantastic 3 ball, and TLU saying, hey, we aren't done quite yet.
Yeah, just as soon as Trinity pulled out to that double-digit lead, Texas Lutheran knocking down some big shots from the outside, needing to stop right here, almost getting it, but Trinity creating a second chance, and Minter with another one nearly banks it in from that far wing.
Jump ball gonna be called. It will be in favor of the Bulldogs. That one by Minter, only the second 3 ball that she has missed so far today. Your players on the court right now for TLU, Kaylee Perez, Kaylee Perez, Devia Jones, Merrig, Mulkey, and Lacey. Meanwhile, for Trinity, Reedy, Minter, Timmons, Robbins, and King. As speaking of Minter, ends up going up for that one, ends up getting the ball, or getting the jump ball call, and it will go in favor of Trinity.
And Trinity has played much of this game at a size disadvantage. It feels like outside of the couple of minutes they played with both King and Greenwood on the court, most of these guards have given up several inches, but it doesn't feel like they're being out-rebounded by such an extensive amount.
Turnover there by Trinity, and that's going to be a foul call against Bailey Timmons. Timmons is going to pick up her first foul of the evening so far. They are going to credit her with the turnover as well, but 4 fouls so far by Trinity during this third quarter, 2:17 left to play, so getting a little bit close to bonus territory here for the Bulldogs, who have 3 fouls of their own. Shot is up, tipped away by King, and they're going to call a foul on King, which I'm not entirely sure I agree with there. We're going to need to get a replay, but it looked clean from our vantage point up here.
Yeah, I mean, at worst, it looked like she got ball and arm at the same time, and a lot of the times when that's the case, it's a play on from the referees, but rather Texas Lutheran earning a couple of opportunities at the free throw line. Again, trying to expand that advantage. Here we will see the replay. If anything, it seems like Merrick tried to create an advantage with that off arm, and King just extending over the top, got that cleanly.
They might have called her for maybe a little bit of the hip check that happened there going up forward. That might be the reason for the foul rather than the hand. But either way, Denise Merrick going to the line, the senior out of Spring Branch, Texas, 6'1". Again, one of the taller players here on the court. TLU really utilizing a lot of height here. They got players at 6'2", 6'1", 6 foot, and 6 foot. So a ton of height. Of course, not to mention Brianna Wilson at 5'11", and Sari Jones at 5'11" as well. So this is a very, very tall TLU team, and they are using their size to their advantage. As Robbins goes down there, loses the ball, ends up getting taken in by Mulkey. Mulkey being defended very well. Merrick backs out of it, and they're going to give the offensive foul against Merrick. A fantastic play there. Maggie Robbins took the hit, went down, and drew the whistle as Denise Merrick gets credited with the offensive foul, and now both of these teams are within the bonus.
Yeah, it sounded like Robbins hit the ground pretty hard there, but she pops up without any issue back at the helm of this offense as they try and run a set, getting Natalie Greenwood on the outside, but ultimately now the ball in the hands of Josie Napoli.
Napoli moving around, puts it up, and will be going to the line for 2. That foul going to be called against Kaylee Mulkey. 5'6" junior out of New Braunfels, Texas. And Mulkey so far leading the team in terms of scoring, actually leading the game in terms of scoring with 14 points. But that is going to be her third foul. And I'm seeing movement down on the bench. So off comes Mulkey and on comes Juliana Tapia, junior out of San Antonio, Texas. And again, mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, a lot of area natives, seeing San Marcos, San Antonio, Kyle, Austin, ton of players from around the area. And whenever you have a bunch of local players who not only come from similar areas, but also might have played against each other in high school, played with each other in high school in some situations, it really adds to a very dynamic team with tons of chemistry with each other.
Yeah, a certain level of familiarity that exists in the SCAC. Certainly seen that on display here in San Antonio as these two teams battle this one out. Very close one all evening. It's the shot clock now nearing 5 seconds, and Texas Lutheran being a little bit forced to put one up.
Ball is batted around. It's going to be a jump ball. No, they're going to call it a travel, and it's going to go in favor of Trinity.
And really the first time that we've seen that all night. There's been a lot of plays where the ball's been on the ground, bodies diving after it. Referees have been willing to let those situations play on. And at worst, they've been jump balls right there. You're right. Travel hurting Texas Lutheran as they did have possession arrow. So now with under a minute left, Trinity will have the opportunity to pull a little further ahead. Maybe
a little bit of post-play extracurricular activity there. Heard a lot of shouting and saw some of the TLU fans wanting a technical. I believe it was against Josie Napoli, who is kind of known for having a bit of a hot temper at times. As Timmons once again going to be going to the line here. This game's starting to get maybe just a little bit chippy, as that foul by Daviana Jones will be her first of the day, 6th so far of the quarter for TLU.
You talk about chippiness, and I think that's what you come to expect in games like this amongst teams at the top of the conference when it's very defensive-minded. There's a certain level of physicality, and that starts to bleed into that category where tempers flare a little more easily. So we'll have to see how that can be controlled, if it can be funneled into success down the stretch, or if it's going to lead really to one of these teams unraveling a little bit.
We saw it last night as well against Southwestern, a very physical game, lots of shoving, lots of elbows being thrown during that one, and during the post-game interview with Josie Napoli and Bailey Timmons, they mentioned a very, very physical game, very difficult to play in, but one that definitely does have a tendency to bring out the best in competition. Might lead to a little bit of extra chippiness, but also makes it just that much more special whenever you come up with a victory like that. That one blocked, 10 seconds left on the shot clock. It's put up, and it is put in. Fantastic shot by Kaylee Lacey, senior out of Pflugerville. And she continues a fantastic day. Game clock down to 3. And now Jamie Reedy going to be going to the line for a couple of free throws as well.
Just great recognition from Trinity right there. Seeing on the screen right now that the game clock you're seeing is a little bit behind schedule. Hard to tell on the shot clock right above the backboard, but 1.2 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Tigers certainly cognizant of that, forcing the issue, and Reedy drawing the foul just before the quarter expired and earning the opportunity to put up the last points here after Texas Lutheran made that big shot from the outside.
First shot is good, as is the second, so Reedy goes up to 12 points on the day. Also makes her perfect on free throws, 2 for 2. And that will be the end of the third quarter. So after kind of a quick-ish start by TLU, who brought it to within just a couple of points, Trinity extending the lead just a little bit more. 46-38 your score. Trinity leading by 8 over the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs as we get ready for the final quarter. Luke, what have you seen out of these teams so far, and what do you think we can expect going into the fourth?
Well, I think the big thing for Trinity, we touched on it, you can see it on your screen. Their saving grace tonight has been success from beyond the arc. Almost 44%, 7 of 16. for Texas Lutheran, they haven't been overly successful from anywhere. I think they just need to find success in one area coming down the stretch, go to it a couple times in a row, and in addition to that, string together some stops. We haven't seen real consistent opportunities for the Bulldogs of that nature where they've both put the ball in the basket and turned around and shut down this Trinity team offensively.
If TOU wants any chance at winning, obviously they've got to score, but they also need to keep Trinity from scoring as well. One of the good things about shootouts is that you can score a lot of points, but you also need to stop the other team from scoring those points as well. Looking around at the rest of the conference at the moment, of course, the standings are very helpful to look at, but the games that are going on right now are equally important. Looking at other games in the area, of course, last night, Texas Lutheran losing a game to Schreiner, 65-61 was the final in that one, and kind of a shock for everybody here at here at Trinity whenever they heard the news. But in terms of games currently going on, Dallas actually defeated Centenary 78-47, the final in that one. Meanwhile, over in Kerrville is going up for that and putting it up and in. A fantastic play there by, that one is going to be Kaylee Lacey, but Napoli down low, puts it up, cannot get it to go. It just feels like everything that Josie has tried so far tonight just hasn't gone. 0 for 4 shooting so far today, her only points coming off of free throws. Right now it's Presley back over to Perez. Perez being defended very well by Napoli. Shot clock down under 10 now. Pass is taken away, a bit of an errant pass there, taken away by Jamie Reedy. And now Timmons bringing it over and down. Minter thought about pulling up. That would have been an incredible shot if it had gone. Reedy spinning around, pass outside Napoli. Napoli thought about it, does not take it. Crossover behind the back, gonna go up and gonna put it up and in. Her first field goal of the day goes in, and now she's going to go to the line for the and one as well.
You talked about it just moments ago. It's been a tough night for Napoli, but I think the big thing is that she hasn't really forced the issue. 0 for 4 at the end of the day doesn't look like too bad of a stat line. And then right there, kind of flips the switch. Really nice dribbling, putting on a move to get by her defender, put her on her hip, and then finishing through the contact, adding an extra one at the free throw line. It's been tough sledding, but she's a name that's going to get called upon the last 8:30 or so in San Antonio to hopefully put the nails in the coffin.
They're going to call that foul, I believe, on Kylie Minter. It's going to be on Minter. And another score update from around the conference. Schreiner, who is 5-4 so far in conference, 6-12 so far on the season, currently leads Southwestern 61-45. Southwestern sitting in the bottom half of the conference standings so far, 3 of 5 in conference and 4 of 13 overall this season. So a game that may not have a ton of implications for Trinity, but will have a ton of implications for who may make up the final spots of the SCAC tournament. As this shot goes up and in, fantastic little play there by, I believe they're going to say that was by Sansano, it was. As Napoli driving down with it now, puts it up from the mid-range, cannot get it to go, just a little bit short. Rebound there by Mulkey. Mulkey's been everywhere so far today, and a big reason why TOU is still in this game. Pass it back over to Mulkey. Mulkey's gonna go up, and Mulkey is gonna get the and one as well.
And part of being everywhere is never stopping your movement. That's exactly what Mulkey does right there. Just a perfectly timed cut. Finds the ball in her hand. Somehow, as she's falling through a couple of defenders, she puts that one up off the backboard and in with the contact. All of a sudden, Texas Lutheran down by 5. Opportunity to cut that to an even smaller deficit.
That's going to be the 4th foul credited against Elaine King as that shot goes up and in. 4-point game here for TLU, and starting to become sort of the game that we were expecting heading into this one. Of course, maybe not the score line that we were expecting, but definitely the close game that we were expecting. As this shot, Kylie Minter, what can she not do? Another deep three by the sophomore, and she is just showing off now. Automatic from outside, and you can see it right there. Josie Napoli getting hyped up, Coach Hill getting hyped up as well. This is a very energetic squad, and they are only getting more energetic with the game that Kylie Minter is having so far. 6 of 9 so far shooting. 4 of those 6 have come from outside the arc.
Yeah, and absolutely fearless on a couple of the three-pointers that she's pulled in this second half. Reedy threatening on the inside, throwing a couple of spin moves, a lot of contact down low. Just couldn't get a shot up cleanly under the basket. Looked like that one got rebounded by Jones, who ultimately did draw a foul.
And so that will be a foul against Jamie Reedy, her 3rd foul today, and a lot of Tigers starting to get into foul trouble. Josie Napoli with 3, Jamie Reedy with 3, and Elaine King with 4. It is a very precarious situation right now for the Tigers. Pass, cross court, shot is up, wide open 3, does not fall there for Presley, but it is rebounded by Tapia. Tapia back over to Presley. Presley gonna drive, backs it outside to Sansano. Sansano moving around, spin move off of Robbins. Shot is up outside. Mulkey does not fall, bit short off the front of the rim. Thought it was gonna roll back in there, but it does not. Napoli with it now, trying to make some moves. Switch over to Reedy. Cross-court pass over to Kylie Minter. Back over to Napoli. And they're gonna call that a defensive foul against, believe they're gonna call that against number 3, Tapia. And yes, it is a foul on Juliana Tapia, junior out of O'Connor High School here in the San Antonio, Texas area. As we do have a couple of substitutions here. Actually, just one substitution. Bailey Timmons coming on for Jamie Reedy. So one of the players in foul trouble off, but still 2 of them on. And whenever you have players like Napoli and King who are in foul trouble, it's really, really difficult to take them off, especially at the same time. Minter from 3, gets it to go yet again. What an incredible day by Kylie Minter. She cannot miss. 19 points on the day, leads all scorers, and every single time she pulls up from deep, it feels like it just splashes down in. I don't even think that one touched the rim.
Yeah, a couple of those just like that. Nothing but the net. Minter remaining unconscious from 3-point territory. She's 5 of 7 from deep, and she's coming on in the late moments of this game, the stages where it matters the most. She's going back and forth right now with Mulkey, just with that 3-pointer, took over the lead for game-high scoring. She's got those 19. Just battling it out with Mulkey right now, who for the Bulldogs has 17.
And so as we get ready for the final 6 minutes, just kind of going over some of the notes that we had in preparation for this game. And of course, whenever we were talking with Coach Hill coming into this one, he mentioned, of course, the home court advantage. TOU had the home court advantage last time. Game ended up going into overtime. This one, a lot lower scoring of an affair overall, but just a fantastic game. Again, that game over in Seguin finished 86-76, the overtime final in that one. But overall, it has just been a fantastic day so far for the Tigers. And Coach Hill mentioned this has been a team that loves playing at home. CalGuard has been incredibly kind to them, not just this season, but in a lot of other seasons. I don't think that I've ever seen a Trinity loss here at home for the women's side in particular, as this shot is up and good outside from 3. Lauren Sansano starting to get into it a little bit, and Coach Hill mentioned Sansano, one of the best players in the conference. It is just a fantastic showdown that we are seeing right now between Mulkey, Sansano, and all of these Trinity players who we have come to know so well over the last few weeks.
And Sansana with just a very timely make. Timmons trying to respond. She does herself. Great crossover to create separation as she got into the paint. Knocked that one home from about 10 feet out.
And so here we go, driving down with it now. Thought about the shot, now puts it up. Does not fall there for Mulkey, and a rebound by King. Napoli moving cross court with it now, being defended by Mulkey. Again, Mulkey, a very big threat, not just on offense, but also on defense. That screen by King, Napoli loses the ball. And surprisingly, haven't called a jump ball yet. And it's going to be a timeout called by TLU. So the Bulldogs going to retain possession. And some conversation with the officials after the play. Not sure what's going on, but there was a lot of confusion happening regarding the regarding who would have the ball.
Yeah, I think some frustrations from that Trinity bench that the referees granted a timeout. I think the claim was that no one had possession of the basketball. Josie Napoli has been animated all night long, and I think had some thoughts to give to the referee. One of the trio was headed to the scorer's table, and looking back at Josie Napoli in particular, I don't think she was so far away from getting called for a technical foul right there. I think Coach Hill was doing a little bit of de-escalation, trying to talk the referee back from that technical call.
Coaches need to be good, not just at game planning, not just at strategizing, but also maybe a little bit in diplomacy at times, especially whenever it comes to communicating with officials. We have another whistle. Believe that Timmons needs to fix her shoelace. And we are ready to go once again. I believe there's some communication going on talking about the shot clock, I believe. Yeah, so 30 seconds going to be put on the shot clock here. Lawrence Ansano going to be the one throwing this one in. Pass over to Presley, and Presley being defended well by Robbins at the moment, who's just backing up. Trinity not running a super heavy press. Jones was the one there who kind of made Robbins have to move around a bit more. Sansana with the ball, now gonna drive. Thought about it, passes it outside. Shot is up outside, and it does not fall. Rebound, however, by Sansano. Sansano with it now. Presley driving, gonna put it outside from the corner, gets it to go. Kaylee Lacey getting another one. Lacey has been kind of an underrated threat for TLU so far this season. 9 points so far during this one. And something to note as well, Kaylee Mulkey already in double-double territory. 17 points, 10 rebounds to her name so far today. Maggie Robbins as well for Trinity, getting very close. 9 points for her and 8 rebounds. As that shot by Napoli does not go, but it was off of a TLU player before going out of bounds. Substitution, off comes Lacey and on comes Juliana Tapia.
One thing about this group on the floor for Trinity right now, Elaine King remains out there. She's been playing through 4 personal fouls. She's done very well not to pick up her 5th. She clears out in the paint right there.
And
but
that'll
as
be
we're
your
talking
5th.
about it, that's the foul that's being called. Referee closest to the Trinity bench spotted her clear out as Maggie Robbins was going to the basket. So Elaine King will be done here in San Antonio, and Coach Hill not opting to replace size with size. It's pretty truly 5 guards on the court for Trinity right now.
A shooting offense right now. Napoli, Reedy, Minter, Timmons, and Robbins. 4 of those were starters. Reedy, the only one who did not start. As going up with it is Presley, and Presley will go to the line for 2.
And a good job forcing the issue as soon as Elaine King comes out of the game. King had been the only real shot blocker to this point for Trinity. She had proved a deterring force in the paint. But Presley, cognizant of the fact that she just fouled out, went straight at her defender and makes it count right there, cutting the lead down to 5.
Gonna get a replay of the foul against Timmons, and can definitely see how that one would be called for sure. as the second shot for Presley goes through as well, making her 4 for 4 on the day. All 4 of those points, or all 4 of those free throws being her only points of the day. Napoli pass over to Maggie Robbins. Very, very tough defense being played by Presley. Timmons moving around with it right now. And 3:20 left on the game clock, 10 left on the shot clock. Trinity just trying to drain as much clock as possible here with a 4-point game, as Robbins will be going to the line for 2.
And I think some more frustration. A lot of the shot clock being eaten up right there on that possession. Maggie Robbins at the end of it just forced to go to the basket. Some stout defense being played all along, and then just a little bit of a body check at the end of things gives Trinity the opportunity to put some more points on the board.
Kaylee Lacey coming on in exchange for Juliana Tapia. So 2 Texas natives swapping out with each other. 3:14 left to go on the game clock. Second shot, no good there for Maggie Robbins, so it will be a 5-point ball game with 3:10 to go in this fourth quarter. TOU with it right now in the hands of Presley. Presley moving around, thought about a drive, instead pass it back outside to Lacey. Presley thought about the outside shot, instead gonna take a charity line jumper, does not. And now a scramble for the ball, puts it up and does not go. And it's going to be a timeout called by Coach Patterson of TLU. So 2:49 to go here in this fourth quarter. A very, very close affair between these two squads, and basically what we were expecting coming into this one. Just maybe the numbers aren't as high as we thought they would be.
Yeah, 5 points with nearly 3 minutes remaining. Right now, Texas Lutheran has a big B on the scoreboard. They're going to shoot free throws with every foul down the stretch, and I think that's big for a couple reasons. We saw just moments ago Presley going straight to the basket as soon as Elaine King exited the game with her 5 personal fouls. I think that's even more reason to continue that strategy. Either you're going to get fouled, or you're going to get a good look at the rim without a shot blocker in the game for this Trinity side. Coach Hill still not opting to bring Natalie Greenwood back into this one, so we'll see how successful Trinity can be playing defense without fouling.
Presley puts it up, and they're going to call that foul on Kylie Minter. She looks stunned after that one, and I can't exactly say I blamed her. It looked like a lot of ball contact, not a lot of arm contact. We're going to have to see that replay there, but either way, we will be seeing Kayla Presley going to the line here. We're going to get that replay, and it's probably a good thing that we don't have live replays being shown in the gym after that one.
Yeah, certainly got the ball pretty clean up top. If anything, impeding Presley's ability to get off the floor. A lot of contact between the bodies right there, and now Texas Lutheran slowly clawing back into this one, down just 3 points. Plenty of time here, especially considering the benefit of the bonus.
Robbins behind the back, over, being defended very well by Presley. Back over to Reedy. Reedy decides to take it herself, get a little bit of space, throws it up, puts it up and in! Jamie Reedy, the fantastic freshman, having herself a night as well. 14 points, gonna go to the line, trying to make it 15, but that looked like just a Hail Mary shot, throwing it up there, and it somehow went in.
And there's been some disorganization on this end of the court. So you see Jamie Reedy, look on her face. I think maybe she's even a little surprised that she got that one to go, but just a good approach. Heard the whistle. That's what all good scorers do. Put it up towards the rim, give yourself a chance, and that one was good off the backboard. It was just a 3-point deficit. Now with that 3-point play, back out to 6.
Sansano being defended very heavily. Back over to Mulkey. Mulkey loses the ball, and they're going to say that it will remain TLU ball. You can see a bit of frustration on the face of Bailey Timmons there.
You have to imagine that Trinity got a hand swipe down right there, maybe thinking it went back off of Mulkey, but certainly couldn't tell from our angle here in the gym.
Sansano over to Mulkey. Mulkey's going to put it up. Mulkey's going to put it in, and that'll make it a 4-point game. Texas Lutheran, one more foul, and Trinity will be in the bonus. Half-court heave to Reedy. Now back over to Minter. Minter back outside. Reedy from the corner. Gets it to go from 3. What a fantastic play by Jamie Reedy. The freshman taking over, 18 points on the day for her so far. And you can see the excitement on Coach Hill's face, but you can see the energy in this Trinity Tigers team. They are so excited after that one.
Very well could be the dagger, extending this lead back out to 7. She really likes shooting the ball from deep. Sometimes it hurts her when she gets into those corners. We saw it in the first half. She was standing on the sideline, out of bounds line. She got pretty close on that play right there. I'm not sure if we'll see a replay of it or not. But the referee was a couple feet away from her, watching her back heel hover over that sideline. It never came down, and she knocked it home. Huge shot. Now Trinity better than 50% from beyond the arc, really opening it up from three-point territory. It's been absolutely a necessity here in San Antonio.
And so just looking at some of the stats at the moment, of course, it doesn't seem much of a surprise with TOU leading the rebounds category, considering the insane height advantage that they possess over Trinity. But Trinity is actually doing a lot, or is doing very similar to their rebounds per game average that they are doing, averaging about 36, 37 rebounds per game, currently at 30. But in terms of three-point shooting in particular, averaging only about 35% three-point shooting so far on the season. Right now, sitting at 53%, 10 of 19 from deep. And after that very slow start, I don't really think that you can ask for anything more than that. Sansano with it right now, pass down to Mulkey. Mulkey tries a spin move, it's taken away by Robbins. Maggie Robbins taking the ball away, once again using her defensive ability. As Robbins being defended very heavily by Mulkey. Just moving around with it now. Pass back up top to Josie Napoli. Napoli gonna drive, Napoli's gonna put it up, and Napoli is gonna put it in for 2. And if the big 3 by Reedy wasn't a dagger, that one just might be, as the score is now ballooned out to a 9-point lead. Ball down low, puts it up, does not fall. Reedy with the rebound, had it knocked loose, and it will remain Trinity ball. That shot up there by Daviana Jones. As we have a substitution here coming off of the court, Kaylee Lacey, and coming on is Juliana Tapia.
Yeah, 9 points and clock that's about to tick under a minute. You have to imagine this one is all but over. Texas Lutheran playing very stout defense. Mulkey continuing her strong efforts, forcing Trinity into taking a timeout right here, but they'll still be able to run about 18 seconds off the game clock once they get the ball inbounded. It was a very, very impressive effort from Texas Lutheran, who really flipped a switch offensively to get back into this game. But it's a Trinity side that was more or less ready for anything that was thrown at them today.
It was a Trinity side that, even though they didn't score the points they wanted, they managed to keep TLU off the scoreboard as well. And after the very slow shooting start that we saw, both of these teams averaging just above single digits, it seemed, in terms of their shooting percentage, they have really turned it up during this second half in particular. And it's just been an incredible scoreline so far for both these teams. Just looking at the stats at the moment, it's just been a fantastic game for both teams, and one that really lived up to the billing that we were looking for. Maybe it didn't have the offensive scoring that we were hoping for, but the competition between these two squads is exactly what we were looking for heading into this one. They're going to say that it's a jump ball. Trinity will retain possession, and with 8 seconds left to go on the shot clock, it's going to be pretty difficult, but far from impossible to get anything out of this. Robbins with the ball right now, being defended very well by Sansano. Pass over intended for Reedy, taken away by Presley. Presley gonna drive. Cross-court pass out to Sansano. Sansano from 3, cannot get it to go off the front of the rim. Robbins with the ball. Cross-court pass over to Josie Napoli, and now Napoli gonna back out. and being guarded very heavily by Sansano. Sansano trying to make her case as to why it shouldn't have been a foul, but she will pick up the foul regardless. And now Josie Napoli going to go to the line for 2. Sansano picks up her 4th foul of the evening. Substitution, Tapia coming off in exchange for Lacey yet again. So the most recent substitution before that was Tapia for Lacey. Now it is Lacey for Tapia. First free throw shot is good on the 1-and-1 for Napoli. So now Josie going to get a second one here. 67-57, made that 68-57 score as we're seeing Sky O'Rourke coming on in exchange for Maggie Robbins. And a great day for Maggie overall. Double-digit points. Unfortunately unable to get a double-double there, but 8 rebounds as well. Just a great day for her in general. Led both the rebounds and assists category as we now have a timeout on the court called by TLU, and so we can just kind of get a few more points out of the way. This was a very, very big game for the conference in particular. Looking at all the implications that this game had, the most likely team that Trinity would be losing to in the conference is, of course, Colorado. Colorado is always one of the powerhouses in the conference, but TLU has really kind of come out of nowhere and been a team that is, as you can see, towards the top. And a win over TLU will be massive for not only the Tigers, but also in their hope to get a bye during the SCAC tournament. And it's also going to cap off a fairly rough road trip for the Bulldogs as well, losing on the road at Shriner and now falling here at Trinity.
Yeah, you're right. A couple of really tough games back-to-back for this Bulldog squad, but it comes after their best start in program history. We talked about it in the men's game, a men's program that wasn't playing up to the standard they'd set for themselves in the conference. But Texas Lutheran, their first play through conference action, that first cycle, they were very, very impressive. Unfortunately, they went on the road. They had to come here to San Antonio against the team that's really dominated the conference the last handful of years. Now the focus has to shift. How do you get back to what you established in the first half of the conference schedule? They have some really impressive results, including a win over D2 St. Edwards in Austin. So this is a team that's certainly capable, and I think they showed that for much of tonight. Just a little bit outplayed this Trinity team. They're shooting specifically slightly too much.
And it's moments like this as well that make me kind of a little bit sad that I'm not down on the court able to talk to the opposing coaches and players as well, because I would love to know how much the effects of last night carried over into tonight. Of course, TLU with that shock loss end up dropping 2 of their last 2. But meanwhile, for the Trinity Tigers, another win. Another win in the books for them. Just a fantastic game overall. 70-59, your final score as they now extend their winning streak out to 4 in a row. And needless to say, they are definitely going to be looking forward to coming back home whenever they go on that 3-game road trip against Austin, Dallas, and then Shriner before coming back home here to Colorado.
We talked about it briefly. This is a Trinity team that hit a rough patch over the winter break. They played some neutral site games. They went on the road, traveling to the Pacific Northwest, traveling to Las Vegas. In that stretch, they went just 1-5 with the absence we talked about earlier of Natalie Anderson. But since coming back, really getting going in conference play, past 2 weekends, they've looked really impressive. And when you think about that, the way the team's playing right now, in addition to the fact that they're going to get back one of their best players, this is a team that's really starting to hit its stride, and they're going to get that little extra boost as they head towards the conference tournament in Shreveport this year. One
of the things that I was talking about with one of our fellow co-commentators who is not on the call tonight, Reed Rosales, during that 4-game road trip, I mentioned, like, this has got to be one of the worst road trips that we have had maybe ever. And of course, Reed being the stats genius that he has, managed to pull up the stats. First time that Trinity had lost three of four in well over a decade. And it was a very, very difficult run for them over the winter. Of course, missing Natalie Anderson, and had, of course, the new face in Natalie Greenwood coming in as well. And it was just a lot of question marks surrounding the team. But ever since the calendar has ticked over into 2024, this team has just felt like just like a completely different team. The chemistry is there, the excitement is there, and at the moment, the results are there. And so just going over the stats for this game. For TLU, Kaylee Mulkey finishes the day with a double-double, 19 points and 10 rebounds for her as well. Meanwhile, for Trinity, Jamie Reedy, cannot say enough about her, led the team, led all players with 20 points. However, need to give a shout out to Kylie Minter as well. 19 points, just felt like she could not miss from three, no matter where she was on the court.
Yeah, and I think it came at arguably more important times, although that replay right there late in the game, Reedy finding a way to make that shot go and adding that three from the corner. Minter paced herself, was very impressive to start the game, made some big shots in the second half as well. And then, of course, Jamie Reedy coming on very late. Two very worthwhile additions to this program. Coach Hill doing an excellent job bringing them in here to San Antonio to aid the Tigers.
And so that will do it here for the Trinity Tigers. The last time that we will be seeing them until February 11th, whenever they will play against Colorado. The game time as of yet to be determined, but also on a more personal note, the last time that you and I are going to get to share a box together, and for everyone who doesn't know, Luke and I have known each other for far longer than just our time here on the Tiger Network, but also going back to the Trinitonian as well, and it's just, it's going to be a completely different place without you. I was talking with Josh last night, and it's definitely going to be a different place without you, and I know that you still got baseball coming up and cannot wait to do it. But yeah, it's going to be a completely different place without you, and I'm sad to see you go.
I mean, it's been fun. It's been an awesome ride. I think part of it's watching these great teams, but a lot of great partners that I've had here in the booth. So I appreciate the shout out. Hopefully, we talked about it a little bit pregame, maybe we'll get something going in the spring sports season. Been great on the sidelines all year long, so wouldn't hurt to have your face out there next season.
Definitely. Well, I have been Caleb Reed, joined, of course, by Luke Terry. To everybody manning the cameras, to everybody down in the control room, thank you so much. And, of course, thank you for watching the Tiger Network. We will be back. We'll take a couple of weeks off, obviously, and then we will return February 11th to watch both the Tiger men and Tiger women take on the Tigers of Colorado College. So for everybody at Tiger Network, hope that you have a great night, and we will see you soon.